Hi guys, Chester Westerford here. Well, the first two episodes of AHSOKA have premiered, and I could not, of course, go without reviewing them. First off, I want to say, though, thank you to the internet. Even though these two episodes premiered Tuesday night, I was not able to watch them until Wednesday afternoon, but I was not spoiled on anything. Thank goodness. But that also leads me to the warning that I will not necessarily be staying away from spoilers in this review, so if you haven't seen the first two episodes, you might want to go ahead and watch those first. So, I've been really looking forward to this series. I've been hoping it would be good, but also prepared for the somewhat unlikely possibility that it wouldn't be, especially with Disney's track record lately. But thankfully, it was excellent. What a premiere. I don't know about you, but I thoroughly enjoyed both of these episodes. I'm glad they decided to group them together. I think it was the right decision. Kind of like Kenobi, the first episode felt a little slower, an introduction to what the series would be about, the characters, while the second brought you past the introduction to a little more action and story points. And when I say slow, though, I don't mean boring. I mean, there were a couple of points here and there where I felt the pacing could have been a little bit better, but I'd say the majority of the time it was just right. Going with the first episode, I think it was really smart to start off with the opening crawl. Not everyone is going to have remembered or possibly even seen Chapter 13 of The Mandalorian, and also just felt very Star Wars. In fact, this whole thing just felt so classic Star Wars. From that intro to the opening with the bad guys attacking a ship being a very New Hope thing, to Balin's skull and Shin Hati's first appearance feeling kind of like an inverse Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan first appearance in The Phantom Menace, but with them being evil. Oh, and the music. Kevin Kiner, who wrote the music for the Clone Wars and Rebels, returns for this, and yeah, you can tell. There are musical motifs from both series that play throughout, which really helps this to feel like a continuation of those shows, a continuation of the same thing in the same universe. And also, too, beyond those motifs and themes, the music just, again, feels very Star Wars. This might be the most Star Wars show Disney has pulled off so far. Of course, Kenobi felt very Star Wars to me, too. Not that The Mandalorian didn't, but you know what I mean. Just like classic Star Wars. But yeah, I love how this series is so far doing a pretty good job of also being a continuation of Rebels, but also feeling like its own thing. I do wonder, though, how people who haven't seen Rebels, like, are they able to follow this show with, like, all the Ezra and Thrawn stuff? I'm really curious. So if you are one of those people who hasn't seen Rebels but is watching this show, let me know what you think and how you're doing at following it. And if you're the opposite, someone who has seen Rebels, how do you like the translation from animation to live action? Personally, I think it's pretty good. It's not perfect. Rosario Dawson does an excellent job portraying live action Ahsoka with her movements and stuff. However, I do have a little trouble with the voice being so much deeper than Ashley Eckstein. I know she's an adult, so it would be deeper than it was in the Clone Wars, but I'm pretty sure she was an adult in Rebels too. So, I don't know, but yeah, that's the only thing that throws me off slightly. Similar thing goes for Mary Elizabeth Winstead as Hera and Natasha Liu Bordizzo as Sabine. You know, they're not 100% right, but they do such a great job of portraying live-action versions of the characters and also kind of making it their own, that their versions won me over right away, just as the animated versions did. And it helps too that Dave Filoni's writing of the characters, the original creator of the characters, really makes them feel like the originals. And the other reason it doesn't quite bother me that they're not exactly the same is, I mean, if you think back to the Clone Wars, like, think back to how Anakin was in the Clone Wars and compare that to Hayden Christensen. Like, it's all within the same canon, all within the same continuity, but there's always going to be a slightly different translation from animation to live action. It can't be exactly the same, but I think they did a really good job with how they did decide to portray it. What I said about all those three cannot be said of Chopper. He was perfect. That was like the most perfect live action version of Chopper I think you can get. And although we didn't see much of him, Iman Esfahani's Ezra was, I think, spot on in what we did see. I can't wait to see more of him in the show. I hope he actually does have a decent chunk of time later. Not too soon, because I feel like bringing him in too soon would take away from the dynamic between the rest of the cast and take away some of the main motivation behind Sabine wanting to find Ezra that I find is pretty compelling for a motivation. So maybe if he came in for the last third of the series or something, I think that could be really cool. And speaking of really cool, Balin Scroll and Shin Hati, oh my goodness, they are such great villains. I like how they're evil Jedi, but like not Sith. It's kind of an interesting interesting place for Star Wars to explore, and I'm excited to see more of where that goes. Find out a little bit more about who they are, what their motivation is, what exactly they want from Thrawn. Like, what is this? They want power? What does that mean exactly? What do they want? I can't wait to find out. And also their fight scenes, all the fight scenes in this. Even though they're short, the lightsaber duels in this I thought were really well done. I expect they'll only get better from here. And even if Balin Scroll and Shin Hati were the only villains so far, I would already be fascinated. But the addition in these 2 episodes of Marok and especially Morgan Elspeth make for kind of a very compelling mixture of villains. Speaking of Morgan Elspeth, though, that leads me to a couple of very, 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 very small gripes I have. I'm not sure gripes is the right word, because it's not things that don't really bother me, but just things I noticed that I thought were a little bit, just a tiny bit off. While I think it's great and really cool to have a live-action Night Sister in the show, it feels a little odd it being her. Maybe it's just me, but she didn't not seem that way at all in The Mandalorian. Really kind of feels like an after decision, an afterthought. And like I say, while I do like the addition of it, I just wish it fit in a little more with what we saw in Chapter 13. She seemed like just like a normal person. Like, why didn't she use her force magic back then when she was fighting Ahsoka? Did she not want to reveal herself? I don't know, it seems kind of odd. Like, just kind of, I don't want to say shoehorned in because I really liked it, but it feels a little bit shoehorned in just because they wanted to make her more interesting. But I don't know, maybe I could be wrong. Maybe I need to just go back and watch Chapter 13 again. Also, another thing that I had was a tiny gripe. Although I was more worried I would be bothered by this than I actually was, but I do get a little tired of the 2 people used to work together and something happened off screen and now they're angry at each other and need to be reunited trope. It's been done so many times, and seeing it here with Ahsoka and Sabine didn't feel like anything new. But the rest of the story is so compelling, and the actors do such a good job with it, and the writing is so good, it kind of naturally flows through. It doesn't feel forced like it can sometimes in other shows or movies, and I don't know, it works well enough. I hope, though, we do get a little more explanation of how all that initially came about, too. I mean, why was Ahsoka training someone to be a Jedi who doesn't appear to be that force sensitive? I don't know, it just seems a little odd. But if we don't get an explanation in this series, that's fine, but I would at least like a book or a comic series or something like that which could lead up to the series. I think that could be cool. But yeah, I really enjoyed these 2 episodes. The production design, the music, the references to the bigger Star Wars universe. Really does feel like the start of some huge new chapter in Star Wars, which will seemingly culminate in that big Filoni movie. I really like the direction Filoni is taking Star Wars, and I can't wait to see where it goes from here. Yeah, I'm sure there's more I could say about these 2 episodes. They were just so good, but I don't want this video to be an hour long, so I'm going to cut it here with a rating of 8.5 out of 10 for these 2 episodes together. But anyways, because there's so much more that could be said, I would love to continue the discussion in the comments, so let me know what you guys think. What are your theories about what could happen in the future? What did you like about these episodes, not like about these episodes? Let me know, and I'd love to just, like I say, just continue the discussion, because this is just, I think this is a great direction for Star Wars, and I can't wait to see where it goes from here. But anyways, until next time, I'll see you later, guys. Don't forget to click like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you later, and goodbye.